talking about engagement with art. And this is where I believe is the private initiative that can actually help and engage is more important than just maybe buying or collecting. So a quick background. I started as a random collector. My wife and I, we both stumbled upon looking at art, and then we sort of looked around and started very, very randomly, and then finally got into a little more focused area. But the journey between random and focused helped us engage. And the journey was about not being able to afford art. So we wait for the right price. Is it a good art, not a good art? Can we put it up? Can we not put it up? All this led us to sort of engaging more with the artists, with the gallerists, and learning a little bit more about each work and what goes into it, and how much time the gallerists are spending with the artists themselves. And I think this was a beautiful journey for us. And this, after getting a little more focused, we sort of realized that the journey has to mean that moving into engagement. So engagement then takes us to the second part, which I felt was then, can we visit more fairs, more biennales across the world, or even attend talks like this and engage with people who have been in this space for long years and have been collecting, have met most of the older artists and spent time with them. So it was a beautiful journey of really understanding different spaces and different people. We visited different homes, attended the Venice Biennales, the Documentas, including in India, when you have lovely talks like this or galleries that have been around like Kemold and all. So this was the engagement which we felt was a really important part of our journey. And as we were engaging with art, and we started looking at things differently, and I kept thinking, why don't we have much public art in our country? And that kept playing in my mind very often. And this, I think, was a bit of a turning point for me. I was in the Time Warner building, and this is the mecca of consumerism, which is a shopping mall. And as we were there, I suddenly saw these two large Botero sculptures. And this entire space suddenly started interacting with me differently. I forgot about the shops that said, buy me, or come here. It just looked at this work and said, see me. And I was like really, really fascinated by the fact that how a space got transformed just with the fact that there was art in a space like that. And at this particular point, my wife turned around and told me that if you really think that public art is so important, why aren't you looking at doing something? And this was a mall I was building in Chennai. And in 2011, I was quite close to completion. It was like a year away from opening. And this is spread over 1 million square feet of mall with a mixed-use development, which was also about residences, boutique hotel, and all of this put together. And I said, right, this is a great opportunity for me. I'll have 50 to 80,000, hopefully, again I was thinking of those numbers, visitors coming every day to the mall. And if these visitors come to the mall, why can't I bring public art to them? And that was the beginning of my thought process of thinking how I can make art as a part of everyday living rather than just necessarily in homes or collections. And in India, we don't have that many museums or public parks that people go to. So malls, in a way, were becoming central hubs where people collected. It was like a town center kind of space. And I felt great. Let's introduce art, or let's let people interact with art. So that's really where the interaction started. And I had this private foundation, which was called Artsy, a non-profit initiative which was to promote contemporary art in India by supporting the development of artistic practices and expanding the audience that engage with art. So the lines were really chosen because for me it was like, can we support the Kochi Biennale? Can we support Coach Foundation? Can we support residency programs in Bombay? That's what we have been doing along the way. And I felt that these programs in some way will help interact or help people engage with art. So this was a private foundation I had, which we've been running. So I took upon the task of working with this setup that I had, which was a very small setup. But we said, let's work and let's do something in this mall. So this mall was a joint venture partnership with Phoenix, Bombay, but we were a 50-50 joint venture. So for me, it was like, right, I've got to make this pure. So I started by thinking, what's the process of integrating art into the mall? And, at this point, I thought, I have to think like a museum. So I went about picking a young curator, at that time, a girl called Diana Campbell, and a specialist in installation, a production specialist called Eve Lemesley. I picked these two girls up, And today Diana has gone on to become a curator with Dhaka Art Summit, and she's doing lots of stuff all over the world. But that time, this was one of her first assignments. We got this girl and this installer and a whole team around them. And we said, right, now we've got the two people who matter. And then we went about looking for large works, because you got to be careful in the mall. What sort of works are we going to put up? Are we going to put up paintings? No, that's going to clash with the shop windows. So what do? We started thinking of sculptures, installations, video art, sound art, text art, the various other mediums of art. And then we went about talking to artists, gallerists who have these huge works which they had lying in their storage and go down. It's almost difficult for them as well. And a lot of confidence and faith they showed in us, and a lot of them lent us works. So we started by preparing what are loan forms, how we can get them on, insured these works, worked with couriers like Santa Fe, and also we could bring them in, transport agents, and so sort of put a really professional setup together. And I got a lot of support from a lot of gallerists and artists, and they lent us works. And that's how we started building up the whole collection, not collection, but rather art in the public space, which was a mall. And slowly, when the mall opened in 2012 and January 2013, it was amazing to see how people are reacting to these spaces and to the art in the mall. Because for me, I was thinking that if so many people are going to come to the mall, I'd love them to see the art. But suddenly here, you had art becoming an important thing for them to sort of interact with and see and appreciate. So this was part of our journey, and the objective was very simple. We wanted to bring really quality exhibition and pieces in the mall and install them with high level of integrity. So it sort of goes with the need of the work. And I think what was really important at this point was to keep it really pure. I had to do away with all the advertisements in the mall. So you have all these hanging things, sale, look here, look left, look right, this is available. I did away with all of that. Otherwise, that will clash with the art. So that was a tough call because it was losing revenues. But what that did was, it created purity for the work that went into the mall. So you had the shop windows which said buy me, and the art said see me. So I'm just going to run through very quickly into what sort of works we have. So there are lots of works in the mall, and I said different mediums. So sculptures and installations was one such medium. This was an Akash Nilani which was on an escalator. This is work by Anjum Singh. This we ended up buying. And what was interesting in this, I thought I'll keep it, there were 8 of these works against pillars, and I thought I'll keep them open. People would sort of interact with them and look at them and not necessarily keep security around it. But I found people taking away bottles, so we had to create a vitrine. And the vitrine was more expensive than the work. But it was fun that you allowed that to happen for a while. But I think they learn at some point. This is an Arun Kumar work. Again, this was bought by us. This is again on loan by Kemol Gigi Scaria Steps. It's interesting how people look at it and they wonder if they can climb on it. That's a Talur. That's a Manish Nai. Manish came back to me with an interesting thing. He's saying, somebody called me from Chennai saying, can I buy one of your works? And our space is purely just exhibiting. There's nothing for sale, nothing commercial. This is Ravindra Reddy head. It's a huge head, and people stand, and it's quite a photo op here. This was a huge wall, which was an empty wall, and typically you would have had Citibank ad or some ad across. And I said no. And that's when we sort of worked on a Buren-inspired installation by Samir Parker. This is Sunil Gaude bulbs. This was again given to us on loan, but now it's a part of our permanent collection of the mall. And I think this was important work that TNT had given to us. And this was on loan for a year and a half. And as the period got over, we realized how important it had become to the mall. People used to tell us that, oh, that work, that's our landmark. We tell people, meet you by the Robo. So it was fun. And then we said, we can't lose our identity and let this go out of Chennai. And Robo was a very famous movie, Rajnikant, where he was called Chitti. So each of these works have transcripts in English and Tamil. And there's an electronic wayfinder which again talks about the work, about the artist, about the gallery. So there's a lot of information that's there. We also designed a brochure which Shilpa Gupta did the logo on. Kona Design did the entire graphic. It was like a cartoon graphic kind of thing was done by Kona, which is Shreyas Kale. And so a lot of it is by the artist for the people. It was a really fantastic collaboration with everyone. So this is again part of the permanent collection. This was another work. Now, this is an outside space, and there's a waterfall and water in that space. And then we got these swimmers by Philip Murphy, who's an international artist, not necessarily very well known, but reasonably popular. And we have these caps and speedo glasses. We find a lot of them missing sometimes, but we keep replacing that. But the bronze heads stay. So video art now, on the video art front, in a mall you can't dim lights, right? Because they're all bright and you need all that. So we found corridors coming out of elevators where the lights could be dimmed. So as soon as you walk out of an elevator, you'd see video art. And what was really interesting was with the team together, we were able to get some fantastic video art. And at one point, we had nearly $1 million worth video art playing. They were all on loan. And you can think about video art as it can be copied, it could be done like this or whatever, but they're fantastically appreciated. And you had things like William Kentridge showing there, Takashi Murata, Shahza Sikandar showed on a really big screen. We have an outdoor big screen and she was showing there. Faye White, Natalie Joberg. And then we thought of what else? The photography. Abhishek, your space. So Pablo came by one day and he said, I'm happy to lend you works. So he saw nearly 100 works of his. We managed to find corridors that lead to the parking lots or to the toilets. They're really long, deep corridors. And normally when you walk into these corridors going to toilets, it's really boring. So we managed to get Pablo to do this. This is part of the outside space, but this is what's inside. So there's the Bombay Hangama, a movie of his which he's got still. So it's almost like a movie. When you walk in, there's a start and end. Nasiruddin and all these old actors, you can really walk through, see those. And each corridor has different photographs of his. And this is again on loan, but we hope to. There were posters when I was younger, and I used to find it very fascinating when I visited any museums abroad to pick up posters from these museums. And some have been really old posters of Guggenheim and other exhibitions that happened. So I managed to get all of them and put them in a gallery that led to the parking lot. So lots of posters, but then we've broken it up into contemporary, modern, so people understand different arts. Sound. So I think there was a time when I walk in an elevator, I find everyone's really quiet, no one talks, you shut your conversation. So we said, let's get sound art in. So we put sound art in elevators. So when you walk into an elevator, you hear the sound art. Some people thought there's a ghost or something, but it's really strange. But Yoko Ono gave us a cough piece, a couple of other artists, and this we keep rotating again. Now, this was a recent installation. I just wanted to share this. TV Santosh gave this work to us on loan again. It's really popular because VT coming to Chennai. And everyone's very excited about it. And then what we did is we follow up works like this that we install by talks by the artist. So Ashwin, you were there that day when TV Santosh had this, and then we called a group of people in to the mall. And Preeti Garg, again from Chennai, she held a talk. Lots of people engaged with him, and TV Santosh shared his views on what he thought when he made this work. It was quite a nice, interesting session. And so this is a combination of sort of doing works, getting people to engage in it, as well as helping the artist get recognition for the work he's done, because this gets covered for the artists in the press. And I think TV was very happy with this kind of audience that he got, and it was good for him to share what he was thinking when he built this work. I think that's all from my side, and I think there's another thing I wanted to share. It was that we've also sort of now taken this to a study program. So we've got children from schools coming in holiday time, touring the mall, seeing the various artworks. For them, the video art's like a movie going on, they watch it. But I'm sure one day when they'll grow up, they'll say, okay, this is a form of art. I didn't share another text art that we have. So the escalators that go up, we've installed these text panels, LED panels, like a la Jenny Holzer or one of these kind of international artists, or Shilpa Gupta who does text art. So artists can come in and feed this stuff. So again, there's no advertisement on any of those texts that read. We've kept them pure for art. So that's another form of art. And now I'm building the last phase of the mall, which is like the Palladium Mall here. And there we've sort of put in projection art. So we've already created the platform. And we've got like a 30,000 lumens barcode projector and projecting up into the ceiling. So it's going to be quite interesting. It's like almost going to a Bellagio fountain show or the mall show that in Dubai you get periodically you stand there and see a show. I hope people will come and stand and see this whole show up, which is actually an art projection show. And we can get different artists to come and engage with that. Thank you.